We need to get our arms around lawsuit abuse while still allowing good claims to move forward.
A recent national study finds lawsuit abuse in Florida costs families an average of more than $5,000 a year. Amy Cherry takes a closer look.
That's a lot of money as we're all staring down high costs for just about everything amid inflation. House Speaker Paul Renner, who represents the 19th District, which includes Flagler and St. Johns counties, explains the crux of the problem.
If somebody engages in real misconduct, we want them to get hammered versus the litigation mills that are churning out these cases for $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 because they know once the suit's filed, it's just a cheaper proposition for a business or an insurer just to write the check, even if they're right. What that does is drives up the cost for everyone because those costs get built into your premiums and my premiums, and we've never made a claim. So that's what we're seeing in Florida with property insurance premiums that are skyrocketing, auto insurance that's higher than the national average. These kinds of things need to end.
The same study found the state spends $50 billion on litigation every year. That's why Governor Ron DeSantis, Renner, and others are trying to pass what they're calling the most significant legal reform in modern history. House Bill 873 would reduce frivolous litigation and predatory practices that lead to insurance fraud and abuse. The measure would also halt a person's ability to sue in the event of an auto crash if they're more than 50% responsible for their injury. With St. Augustine's local morning news, I'm Amy Cherry.
This local news is a service of your hometown Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. St. Augustine's 2023 De Aviles Award recipient Paul Weaver III has dedicated over 40 years to the historic preservation and protection of the city and its significant cultural resources. He describes one of the most significant landmarks.
The most important is the Castillo de San Marcos. I mean, it's a national historic landmark. Our African-American history is outstanding. I'd start with Fort Mose, the first free settlement in what's now the United States. Very, very important.
One of the most overlooked but historically significant places is right on the bayfront. Hundreds of people walk right by every day, often not noticing it.
The miniature golf course that the city owns. And we got that listed in the National Register. And that was one of the original competitive miniature golf courses. And also it was very important because when we had the civil rights protests of the 1960s, it was one of the first places in the city that was desegregated. And the city said there's no reason why African American people cannot go and play golf there.
And there's one very vulnerable area.
It would be the Lincolnville Historic District. It was associated with the civil rights activities. Dr. Martin Luther King in the 1960s came and stayed in Lincolnville and spoke at several of the churches, then led the marches to downtown. And it was a nationally important event. It was what led to the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And that neighborhood, a lot of new development, a lot of older buildings that are in distressed condition. So I would say if there's an area in the city that's threatened, that's also very, very important, it would be the Lincolnville neighborhood.
What strange sight left people scratching their heads? Liz Ryan has the answer.
It was quite a sight on the St. Johns River. Lots of people ran for their cameras and snapped pictures. It's not every day you see barges floating down the river carrying giant live oak trees. So I did some digging. Eric Bryant of the Road Heaver Boys Ranch in Palatka told us they were contacted out of the blue.
This company in Texas, they have clients that are looking for specific trees. They Google mapped us. They found a couple of trees that they liked.
They bought the trees. The next step was to move them. Since the Road Heaver Boys Ranch is on the St. Johns, up the river they went.
They found a barge, sent the barge up here.
Mature live oaks can be moved if done right.
It was painstaking. I think it took 8 hours, something like that.
And the final destination for the live oaks?
Those trees are going to a plantation in Jacksonville.
This project won't leave scars.
They brought in dirt and they smoothed over the areas in which they got the trees, and then they planted seeds for new trees.
Eric told us Road Heaver Boys Ranch's mission
is to provide a wholesome home environment with a program for social, educational, and spiritual development of up to 50 boys who, because of parental death, desertion, or disability or general dysfunction, are at risk or insecure.
They have bass fishing, golf, and clay target fundraising tournaments coming up. If you'd like to get involved, visit rbr.org. For St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Liz Ryan.
And now you're up to date with St. Augustine's Local Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.